Hello, welcome to the Action Break, and welcome to part 4 of my LEGO Clash Royale series. Today we're going to be taking a look at 10 new characters slash figures from the game Clash Royale, as well as 2 modified or redone figures. So, with that being said, let's get right into the mock. Alright, so first up we have the Dart Goblin and the Minion. Now for the Dart Goblin, I basically just recycled my torso and legs from my previous melee Goblin, and the only thing that's really different is the mask. And to make that mask, I used some air dry clay. I made the base, I painted it yellow, then I took some more clay, I made the leaves, and I painted those on with tacky glue. And the final step of it all was cutting up this section of this LEGO backpack and then putting that on there so that would be compatible with the minifigure. And if you're wondering what his head looks like, it's basically just an olive green headpiece. Not really this one specifically, but you get the idea. And as for the Minion, I used pieces from the LEGO Gargoyle that came out in Collectible Minifigures Series 14, and on the back you can just see that we have some blue wings as well as the head which is painted and the legs that are painted to match this torso right here. And also he has gray legs to be sort of like claws, and yeah, that is the Minion. For our next 2 builds, we have the Executioner and the Cannon Cart. Now the design for the Executioner is pretty self-explanatory, but I thought it was worthy of mentioning that the helmet that he has is actually that of a First Order officer from Star Wars, but just slightly modified and painted. And on the backside you can see that we have some printing and painting as well. For the Cannon Cart, the design is actually much more complicated than I expected. I want to make sure that the proportions were right, and there are handlebars at the front and the back, and on the sides we do have some wheels. Unfortunately, it cannot fire, but it is pretty accurate if I do say so myself. Here we have the battle ram. Now, due to the limitations of LEGO minifigures, I wasn't able to make it so that the barbarians were holding the battle ram on top of their heads, but I figured out this design and I guess it sort of works. The battle ram itself, however, I think is okay. I did my best to give the front part of the battle ram a sort of an octangular look, and if we take a look at the sort of trunk area, we have this little branch sticking out, and that is the battle ram. Up next we have the Mortar and the Expo. Now don't dislike the video just yet, these are actually pretty cool. So I'm going to start with a 360 look around the Mortar. As you can see, there really aren't any features to it other than the fact that this barrel can move, but the same cannot be said about the Expo. This thing actually does fire, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Let me just get it set up right here, and I'll focus in on Boromir here, who is standing right there. He's going to be our target. So I'm going to line up the Expo, and you can see there is actually, I'm going to focus back, there's actually a little pin that you can raise, and then the rubber band will actually fling it forward. There's actually an arrow at the end of this, but anyways, it's gonna fire and it's gonna hit Boromir. Let's try that out. So I'm just gonna raise this, and we'll see it fire. And we hit Boromir, yay! Our third defensive structure is the bomb tower. Now I'm going to start from the bottom, and we're going to pan up so we can see all the details. Panning up, you can see that we have some nougat tiles that are going to act as angled plates. And in the middle right there, you see we have a black rod that is necessary for the stability of the model. And at the top here, we have the bomber himself, and he has a custom painted headpiece. Now before I move on to the final model, I do have 2 updated figures for you guys. The first is the Prince, who has a new helmet, and the second is the P.E.K.K.A., who now has 2 eyes instead of 1, and she also has nipples. Yes, they are on the actual thing, folks. And last but certainly not least, we have the Giant, and he is big. Perhaps a little too big. I mean, look at him compared to a tower. And the reason why he's really big is because I started with the head and I wanted to make the rest of the body in correct proportion to that head, and he turned out a little larger than he should be, but hey, he's a giant. But actually, onto the details of the model. Here is just his face. You can see that he actually does turn around the waist, and I've used that with a little turntable piece. And one of my favorite parts about the Giant is his little belt buckle right here, which I've made using 2 golden bucket handles, and his legs unfortunately do not move, so he's sort of like a big fig. If you are a LEGO fan, you know what a big fig is, but he can move his arms, however, and that is a good thing. And finally, here is a look at the back, and yeah, that is the Giant. Well, that concludes this mock presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't and you would like to cancel your subscription to this channel, you can click the red button at the top right hand corner of this screen, and it should work. And if you did, however, like this video, then you can comment down below and let me know which one was your favorite. Mine personally was the giant. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and stay cool.